In the intricate tapestry of human interaction, the words we choose to speak carry immense weight. They have the power to build bridges or burn them, to inspire trust or sow doubt. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on wisdom, virtue, and self-control, offers profound insights into the art of communication. By mastering our speech, we can reflect intelligence, strength, and character. This exploration delves into 6 powerful habits of verbal mastery inspired by Stoic philosophy, guiding us to speak in ways that command respect, build trust, and align with the values of a truly intelligent person. Whether in professional settings, personal relationships, or inner dialogue, these habits are not just about communication, they are about character. Chapter 1. Avoid boasting about knowledge. The pitfall of boasting. Consider the last time you encountered someone who couldn't stop talking about their accomplishments or expertise. How did it make you feel? Most people instinctively pull away from such individuals, not because their knowledge is invalid, but because their delivery lacks humility. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true wisdom doesn't need to announce itself. It is quiet, confident, and impactful without demanding recognition. A tale of humility. Imagine a man who had built a successful career. Whenever he entered a room, his goal was to impress. He talked about his achievements, the books he'd read, and the people he knew. Initially, people were impressed, but over time, they began to see through the facade. Instead of feeling inspired, they felt belittled, as if his knowledge was a tool to dominate rather than connect. One day, a colleague pulled him aside and said, "You have the skills, but your words are pushing people away." This moment hit hard. He realized that in his attempt to showcase his intelligence, he had alienated those around him. This is a common trap. We are often conditioned to believe that demonstrating our expertise will earn respect, but the truth is that boasting usually achieves the opposite. The Stoic perspective. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Just as nature takes no credit for what it creates, neither should we take credit for our own wisdom." In practical terms, this means understanding that knowledge isn't a weapon or a trophy. It's a tool. The way you wield it matters more than the tool itself. When you boast, you diminish the value of your knowledge. Instead of building credibility, you create barriers. People listening to you aren't inspired. They feel measured against your intellect. Worse, you rob yourself of the opportunity to truly connect. A conversation becomes a competition, and no one walks away enriched. Why intelligent people avoid boasting. 1. Actions speak louder than words. If you're truly knowledgeable, it will show in what you do, not what you say. 2. The value of humility. Humility doesn't mean downplaying your abilities. It means allowing others to discover your value organically. 3. The importance of listening. When you're busy boasting, you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're stagnating. The alternative to boasting. Start with intention. Ask yourself why you're sharing a particular piece of information. Is it to genuinely help someone, or is it to inflate your ego? If it's the latter, pause. Remember, the goal of communication is connection, not self-promotion. Let your knowledge serve others. Instead of saying, "I already know how to solve this," try, "Here's an idea that might help." This subtle shift transforms the dynamic. You're no longer the person dominating the conversation. You're the person elevating it. Embrace the power of silence. Sometimes, the most intelligent thing you can do is listen. When you listen, you gain new perspectives, understand what others value, and build stronger relationships. Silence isn't the absence of knowledge, it's the acknowledgement of it. A wise person doesn't need to fill every space with their voice. Their presence speaks for itself. The transformation. Returning to our story, the man who used to boast eventually learned this lesson. He began asking more questions and sharing less about himself. Over time, people started seeking his advice, not because he demanded their attention, but because he earned their trust. His silence became a sign of strength, and his humility a source of respect. In the end, avoiding boasting isn't about hiding your knowledge. It's about presenting it in a way that uplifts others. It's about realizing that your words are a reflection of your inner character. When you choose humility over arrogance, you embody the very essence of Stoic wisdom: to live not for applause, but for purpose. Chapter 2. Never dismiss others' opinions. The power of humility in communication. Continuing from where we left off about the power of humility in communication, let's take it one step further. One of the most profound ways to honor this principle is to never dismiss the opinions of others. Think about this. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone brushed off your idea before you even had a chance to explain it? How did that feel? Most of us have experienced this, and it often leaves us stinging, feeling that our voice doesn't matter. Stoic philosophy teaches us that every person has value, and with that value comes unique insights worth considering. To dismiss someone's opinion outright is to close the door to understanding and, more importantly, to connection. A tale of listening picture. A man, sharp, confident, and well-respected in his field. He has one blind spot. He struggles to listen in meetings. He's quick to cut off ideas he doesn't agree with, or ones that don't immediately resonate with him. To him, it feels efficient. Why entertain something that, in his mind, clearly won't work? But this habit comes with consequences. Over time, his colleagues grow quiet, hesitant to share their thoughts. The room feels colder, innovation stalls, and he notices it, but doesn't understand why. One day, during a project review, a junior member nervously suggests a solution. It's unconventional, and the man almost interrupts, but something stops him. He decides to listen, just this once. To his surprise, the idea isn't just good, it's groundbreaking. In that moment, he realizes how much he's missed simply because he wasn't willing to listen. The Stoic perspective. This story mirrors what the Stoics believe deeply, that wisdom comes from openness, not arrogance. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is impossible to learn that which you think you already know." Dismissing others' opinions is, in essence, shutting yourself off from growth. It's saying, "I've learned all I need to learn," which ironically is the hallmark of ignorance, not intelligence. But let's be honest, listening to opinions that clash with our own is hard. It challenges our ego. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that we might be wrong. Yet, this is exactly where growth happens. When you give others the space to express themselves, you create an environment of respect and collaboration. You're not just building relationships, you're building trust. How to avoid dismissing others' opinions. And listening isn't the same as agreeing. You can give someone the dignity of being heard without compromising your values or beliefs. The act of listening itself is powerful. It shows that you value the person even if you don't see eye to eye. 2. Approach conversations with curiosity. Instead of thinking, "How can I refute this?" try asking yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Even the most misguided opinion might contain a kernel of truth. And if it doesn't, you've still learned something about how that person sees the world. That insight alone is valuable. 3. Practice humility. Stoic wisdom teaches us to see ourselves not as the center of the universe, but as part of a greater whole. When you dismiss someone's opinion, You're acting as if your perspective is the only one that matters. But the truth is, no single person holds all the answers. Wisdom lies in collaboration, in the exchange of ideas. The transformation, returning to our protagonist, his willingness to listen didn't just save the project, it changed him. He began asking more questions in meetings, encouraging even the quietest voices to speak up. What he discovered was profound. His team wasn't just talented, they were brilliant. All they needed was the space to shine. In the end, never dismissing others' opinions isn't just about kindness. It's about strategy. When you honor the perspectives of those around you, you unlock a wealth of ideas, insights, and possibilities. More importantly, you show that intelligence isn't about proving you're right. It's about understanding that everyone in their own way has something to teach you. And that, as the Stoics would agree, is the essence of true wisdom. Chapter 3. Refrain from complaining without purpose. The impact of purposeless complaints. Continuing with our journey into Stoic wisdom, another principle that profoundly shapes how intelligent people approach life is this: refrain from complaining without purpose. Complaints, when left unchecked, can become a habit that weakens not only your relationships, but also your own resilience. Stoicism reminds us that while it's human to feel frustration, voicing it without a constructive aim often achieves nothing but spreading negativity. Picture this. Our protagonist is someone you might recognize, a hard-working individual juggling multiple responsibilities. Like many, he faces setbacks at work, family pressures, and the everyday frustrations that life throws at us. Yet, instead of addressing these challenges head-on, he often vents to anyone who will listen. Complaints about his boss, about traffic, about the weather, all the usual suspects. At first, people sympathize, but as time goes on, his constant negativity starts to push them away. His words no longer invite connection, they repel it. One day, a close friend says something that stops him in his tracks. "I understand things are tough, but what are you doing to change them?" The question lingers. He realizes that while he's been quick to point out problems, he's done little to seek solutions. Worse, his constant venting has drained the energy of those around him, people who care for him, but are now exhausted by his words. The Stoic perspective. This scenario is all too common. It's easy to fall into the trap of airing our frustrations without considering their impact. But Stoic philosophy offers a powerful reminder. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Complaints, especially about things beyond our control, only reinforce a sense of helplessness. They trap us in a cycle of negativity rather than propelling us toward action. Here's the key: not all complaints are bad. When voiced with intention, they can lead to change. But without a clear purpose, complaints are like shouting into the void. They serve no one. How to break free from purposeless. Complaining 1. Ask yourself a simple question. Whenever frustration arises, ask yourself, what can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, then let it go. Venting about uncontrollable situations not only wastes time, but also robs you of your peace. Instead, channel that energy into something productive. Reading, reflecting, or simply practicing gratitude for the things going well in your life. 2. Frame your perspective. Instead of saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Stoicism teaches us that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Complaints blind us to these opportunities, while reflection reveals them. The transformation. Our protagonist, after reflecting on his friend's question, began to change his approach. Instead of complaining about his boss, he started preparing solutions for the issues he faced at work. Instead of venting about the traffic, he used the time to listen to audiobooks or practice mindfulness. Over time, his mindset shifted. He found that when he stopped complaining, he gained clarity. His words carried more weight because they were no longer filled with negativity. And perhaps most importantly, his relationships improved. People were drawn to his calm, solution-focused demeanor. In the end, refraining from purposeless complaints is about reclaiming your power. When you choose to focus on what you can control, you strengthen not just your mind, but also your influence on the world around you. Stoicism reminds us that our words and thoughts are tools. Use them wisely, and they will build a life of strength and purpose. Chapter 4. No empty promises. The importance of integrity in communication. Building on the idea of choosing our words carefully, another fundamental principle in Stoic communication is to avoid empty promises and always think before you speak. Words carry weight, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Making promises you can't keep or speaking impulsively can damage your credibility and weaken the trust others place in you. The Stoics believe that a wise person uses their words like a craftsman uses tools, deliberately and with precision. Imagine our protagonist once again. In his efforts to be liked and dependable, he has developed a habit of over-promising. When asked for help, he says yes, even when his schedule is already packed. When opportunities arise, he makes commitments without considering if he has the time, energy, or resources to follow through. At first, people admire his willingness to help. But over time, his inability to deliver catches up with him. A missed deadline here, a forgotten promise there. Soon, people begin to doubt his reliability. One day, a colleague confronts him after yet another unfulfilled promise. The words hit hard. It's not that you don't mean well, but your words don't mean anything anymore. This realization is a turning point. He starts to see that every time he makes a promise he can't keep, he's not just disappointing others, he's chipping away at his own integrity. The Stoic perspective. This scenario highlights why empty promises are so damaging. When you make a promise, you're essentially giving your word as a guarantee. If you fail to deliver that guarantee, it loses its value. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of aligning your words with your actions. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Promises should be made sparingly and fulfilled completely. But this principle doesn't stop at promises. It extends to all the words we speak. How often do we say things without fully considering their impact? A casual comment in the heat of the moment, an offhand remark. These can have consequences we never intended. Speaking without thinking often leads to misunderstandings or unnecessary conflict. The Stoics teach us to pause, reflect, and choose our words with care. In doing so, we minimize regret and maximize clarity. How to steer clear of empty promises and impulsive speech. 1. Cultivate awareness. Before agreeing to something, ask yourself, can I realistically fulfill this? If the answer is no, be honest. It's better to set clear boundaries up front than to damage trust later. People respect honesty, even if it means saying no now. 2. Practice the art of the pause. When faced with a challenging question or situation, take a moment before responding. Silence isn't a sign of weakness. It's a tool for reflection. In that pause, you can assess your thoughts, weigh your options, and craft a response that aligns with your values. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic concept of mindful speaking. 3. Be intentional with your commitments. Remember, your word is one of the most valuable things you have. Use it wisely. When you make a promise, follow through, no matter how small the task. Each fulfilled promise strengthens your reputation as someone who can be relied upon. Over time, this consistency builds unshakable credibility. The transformation, returning to our protagonist, his journey didn't end with that confrontation. He took the feedback to heart and began to change. He started saying no when he needed to, explaining his limitations honestly. He practiced pausing before speaking, ensuring his words were thoughtful and deliberate. Most importantly, he made it a priority to fulfill every promise he made, no matter how challenging. The result? Slowly but surely, he rebuilt trust with those around him. In the end, avoiding empty promises and thinking before speaking isn't just about protecting your reputation. It's about living with integrity. When your words and actions align, you become someone people can trust. And as the Stoics knew, trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. So before you speak, pause. Before you promise, reflect. Let your words reflect not just what you think, but who you are. That's the power of mindful communication. Chapter 5. Don't deny your mistakes. The importance of owning your mistakes. Building on the importance of integrity and mindful communication, there's another critical lesson from Stoic philosophy that intelligent individuals never overlook. Don't deny your mistakes. Admitting when you're wrong isn't a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of strength, humility, and the willingness to grow. In fact, how you handle your mistakes says far more about your character than your successes ever could. Let's return to our protagonist. After rebuilding trust with his words, he faced a new challenge: owning up to his errors. One particular incident stands out. He was leading a project, and in his haste to meet a deadline, he overlooked a critical detail. That oversight led to a setback that frustrated his team and delayed their progress. When confronted about it, his initial instinct was to deflect the blame. He wanted to point out how tight the timeline was, or how others hadn't caught the mistake either. But something held him back. Deep down, he knew deflecting wouldn't solve the issue. It would only erode the respect he had worked so hard to rebuild. Instead, he chose to face the situation head-on. He admitted his mistake, apologized to the team, and outlined the steps he would take to ensure it didn't happen again. To his surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Rather than being disappointed, his team appreciated his honesty and respected his willingness to take responsibility. In that moment, he learned a powerful truth. Admitting your mistakes doesn't diminish you, it elevates you. The Stoic perspective. This is where Stoic wisdom shines. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. For it is the truth I seek, and the truth never harmed anyone." The Stoics believe that truth is the foundation of growth. To deny your mistakes is to deny yourself the opportunity to learn and become better. But why is admitting mistakes so difficult? Often, it's tied to ego. We fear looking incompetent or weak. Yet, denying an obvious mistake only magnifies those fears. It creates a defensive wall that others can see through, and it prevents you from addressing the root of the problem. On the other hand, acknowledging your missteps signals confidence. It shows you're secure enough to face the truth and strong enough to make amends. How to embrace this principle in your own life? 1. Practice self-awareness. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to look outward for blame. Instead, reflect inward. Ask yourself, what role did I play in this? Owning your part, no matter how small, is the first step toward resolution. 2. Focus on solutions rather than excuses. Admitting a mistake is only the beginning. What truly matters is what you do afterward. Outline clear steps to correct the error and prevent it from happening again. This proactive approach not only repairs the immediate damage, but also reinforces trust and reliability. 3. Treat mistakes as opportunities. The Stoics believed that every setback carries a lesson. If you're willing to see it, a mistake isn't a failure, it's feedback. It's a chance to refine your approach, deepen your understanding, and strengthen your character. The transformation. Our protagonist experienced this firsthand. By taking responsibility for his mistake, he not only resolved the issue, but also inspired his team. They saw him as someone who could admit when he was wrong, learn from it, and lead with integrity. This earned him a level of respect that deflecting blame never could. In the end, admitting your mistakes is about more than just fixing a problem. It's about living authentically. It's about embracing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and using it to grow. As the Stoics would say, every error is a stepping stone to wisdom. So the next time you stumble, pause, acknowledge what went wrong, commit to doing better, and remember, the courage to own your mistakes is what sets the truly wise apart. Chapter 6. Don't overshare future plans. The pitfalls of oversharing. Continuing from the importance of owning your mistakes, let's talk about another practice rooted in Stoic wisdom: avoiding the temptation to overshare your future plans. While it's natural to feel excited about your goals, sharing them too freely can dilute your focus, invite unnecessary opinions, and even hinder your progress. Intelligent individuals understand this. They let their actions speak louder than their words. Imagine our protagonist, fresh off his lesson in accountability, having restored trust in his team. He feels energized to pursue a new project he's been envisioning for months. Over coffee one day, he shares every detail with a friend. The idea, the roadmap, the potential outcomes. The friend listens, nods, but then responds with a hesitant tone. "Do you really think that's going to work?" It sounds risky. What happens next is subtle but significant. The enthusiasm he felt moments ago starts to waver. Doubts creep in. Questions he hadn't considered now loom large. While feedback can sometimes be helpful, in this case, it saps his energy before he even begins. By the end of the conversation, he feels less motivated and unsure of his own vision. And here's the lesson. Oversharing plans doesn't always bring support. It can invite doubt and derail your focus. The Stoic perspective. Stoic philosophy encourages us to approach our ambitions with quiet confidence. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." The same principle applies to your plans. Don't just talk about them, work on them. Oversharing can create a false sense of accomplishment, as though talking about a goal is equivalent to achieving it. But the reality is that words don't build anything. Actions do. There's also the issue of external expectations. When you broadcast your plans, you invite scrutiny. Every step forward becomes a performance, and every setback feels magnified under the weight of others' opinions. Stoicism reminds us to stay inwardly focused, controlling what we can and letting go of what we can't. Sharing your plans too soon shifts that focus outward, making you vulnerable to distractions and criticism. How to strike the right balance. 1. Remember that not everyone needs to know your every move. Reserve your plans for those who will genuinely support and guide you, people who will hold you accountable without dampening your spirit. This is the difference between seeking validation and seeking wisdom. 2. Embrace the power of progress over promises. Instead of saying, "I'm going to do this amazing thing," focus on actually doing it. When your results speak for themselves, you eliminate the need for explanations. Success is its own announcement, and it carries far more weight than words ever could. 3. Cultivate patience. Ambitions take time, and the process of achieving them often involves unexpected twists and turns. Oversharing can create unnecessary pressure to stick to a rigid timeline or vision, even when adjustments are needed. By keeping your plans private, you give yourself the freedom to adapt without feeling like you've let anyone down. The transformation. Our protagonist learned this lesson the hard way. After sharing too much, he found himself paralyzed by the weight of others' doubts. It took stepping back and realigning with his goals to regain his focus. He began keeping his plans to himself, sharing updates only after he had made significant progress. The result? He felt less distracted, more motivated, and ultimately more successful. In the end, avoiding the urge to overshare your future plans is about protecting your energy. Your goals are personal, and they deserve the space to grow without interference. As the Stoics teach, focus on what's within your control, your actions, your dedication, and your persistence. Let others see the results of your work when the time is right. Until then, stay quiet, stay focused, and let your success speak for itself. That is the essence of mindful action and true intelligence. Chapter 7. The Art of Mindful Listening, the Power of Active Listening. Building on the principles of Stoic communication, another crucial aspect is the art of mindful listening. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, the ability to listen actively and empathetically sets intelligent individuals apart. Mindful listening is not just about hearing the words. It's about understanding the emotions, intentions, and perspectives behind them. Imagine our protagonist in a meeting where a colleague is presenting a new idea. Instead of interrupting or immediately offering his own thoughts, he decides to listen intently. He pays attention to the nuances of the presentation, the underlying emotions, and the unspoken cues. By doing so, he not only gains a deeper understanding of the idea, but also builds a stronger connection with his colleague. The Stoic perspective. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of understanding others deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." By listening mindfully, we allow ourselves to be influenced by the thoughts and emotions of others, enriching our own perspectives. Mindful listening is about more than just gathering information. It's about fostering empathy and connection. How to practice. Mindful listening 1. Be present. Focus entirely on the speaker. Avoid distractions and give your full attention. This shows respect and creates a safe space for open communication. 2. Avoid interrupting. Let the speaker finish their thoughts before responding. Interrupting can derail the conversation and make the speaker feel unheard. 3. Reflect and paraphrase. Summarize what you've heard to ensure understanding. This not only clarifies the message, but also shows that you are actively engaged. 5. Ask open-ended questions. Encourage the speaker to elaborate on their thoughts. This deepens the conversation and demonstrates your interest in their perspective. 5. Show empathy. Acknowledge the emotions behind the words. Empathy builds trust and strengthens relationships. The transformation. Our protagonist began practicing mindful listening in all his interactions. He found that by truly listening, he gained insights he might have missed otherwise. His colleagues appreciated his attentiveness, and his relationships improved. Mindful listening became a cornerstone of his communication style, reflecting his commitment to understanding and empathy. In the end, mindful listening is about more than just hearing words. It's about understanding the person behind them. It's about building connections, fostering empathy, and enriching our own perspectives. As the Stoics would say, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. By listening mindfully, we allow ourselves to be influenced by the thoughts and emotions of others, enriching our own lives and deepening our connections. Chapter 8. The Practice of Gratitude. The Power of Gratitude. Another essential aspect of Stoic wisdom is the practice of gratitude. In a world where it's easy to focus on what's lacking, cultivating gratitude helps shift our perspective to what we have. This practice not only enhances our well-being, but also strengthens our relationships and communication. Imagine our protagonist reflecting on his day. Instead of dwelling on the challenges and setbacks, he chooses to focus on the things that went well. He thinks about the supportive colleagues, the progress made on projects, and the small moments of joy. By doing so, he cultivates a sense of gratitude that permeates his interactions and communications. The Stoic perspective. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Give thanks for what you are now and keep driving straight ahead." By practicing gratitude, we shift our focus to the positive aspects of our lives, enhancing our overall well-being and resilience. How to cultivate gratitude. 1. Daily reflection. Set aside time each day to reflect on the things you are grateful for. This can be as simple as writing down 3 things you are thankful for each evening. 2. Express appreciation. Share your gratitude with others. Acknowledge the efforts and contributions of those around you. This not only strengthens relationships, but also fosters a positive environment. 3. Focus on the present. Appreciate the moment you are in. Mindfulness and gratitude go hand in hand, helping you stay grounded and content. Practice humility. Recognize that many of the things you are grateful for are the result of the efforts and contributions of others. This fosters a sense of interconnectedness and empathy. The transformation. Our protagonist began practicing gratitude daily. He found that by focusing on the positive aspects of his life, he felt more content and resilient. His interactions became more positive, and his relationships improved. Gratitude became a cornerstone of his well-being, reflecting his commitment to focusing on what he could control and letting go of what he couldn't. In the end, the practice of gratitude is about more than just feeling good. It's about enhancing our overall well-being, strengthening our relationships, and fostering a positive outlook. As the Stoics would say, give thanks for what you are now and keep driving straight ahead. By cultivating gratitude, we enrich our lives and deepen our connections. Chapter 9. The Virtue of Patience. The Power of Patience. Patience is a virtue that is often overlooked in our fast-paced world. However, Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of cultivating patience, especially in communication and relationships. Patience allows us to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, leading to more meaningful and effective interactions. Imagine our protagonist facing a challenging situation at work. Instead of reacting immediately, he decides to take a step back and reflect. He considers the different perspectives involved and weighs his options carefully. By doing so, he responds in a way that is thoughtful, respectful, and effective. The Stoic perspective. Stoic philosophy teaches us to cultivate patience and respond thoughtfully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" By practicing patience, we allow ourselves the time to reflect and respond in a way that aligns with our values and goals. How to cultivate patience. 1. Practice mindfulness. Be present in the moment and aware of your thoughts and emotions. Mindfulness helps you respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. 2. Take a pause. Before responding, take a moment to reflect. This allows you to consider different perspectives and weigh your options carefully. 3. Focus on the long term. Remember that patience often leads to better outcomes in the long run. Short-term reactions can be impulsive and counterproductive. Practice empathy. Understand that others may be going through their own challenges. Empathy fosters patience and understanding. The transformation. Our protagonist began practicing patience in all his interactions. He found that by taking the time to reflect and respond thoughtfully, he communicated more effectively and built stronger relationships. Patience became a cornerstone of his communication style, reflecting his commitment to thoughtful and respectful interactions. In the end, the virtue of patience is about more than just waiting. It's about responding thoughtfully and effectively. As the Stoics would say, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? By cultivating patience, we enrich our interactions and deepen our connections. Chapter 10. The Art of Forgiveness. The Power of Forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful practice that is often overlooked in our interactions. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of forgiveness, not just for the sake of others, but for our own well-being and growth. Forgiveness allows us to let go of resentment and move forward with a clear mind and open heart. Imagine our protagonist facing a situation where a colleague has made a mistake that affected him. Instead of holding on to resentment, he chooses to forgive. He understands that everyone makes mistakes and that forgiveness is a path to healing and growth. The Stoic perspective. Stoic philosophy teaches us to practice forgiveness for our own well-being. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not become like your enemy." By forgiving, we let go of resentment and move forward with a clear mind and open heart. How to practice forgiveness. 1. Acknowledge the hurt. Recognize the pain or frustration you feel. Acknowledging your emotions is the first step toward healing. 2. Understand the perspective. Try to see the situation from the other person's perspective. This can help you understand their actions and foster empathy. 3. Let go of resentment. Holding on to resentment only hurts you. Forgiveness allows you to move forward with a clear mind and open heart. 4. Focus on growth. Use the experience as an opportunity for growth and learning. Forgiveness is a path to personal development. The transformation. Our protagonist began practicing forgiveness in all his interactions. He found that by letting go of resentment, he felt more at peace and was able to move forward with a clear mind and open heart. Forgiveness became a cornerstone of his well-being, reflecting his commitment to growth and healing. In the end, the art of forgiveness is about more than just letting go of resentment. It's about healing and growth. As the Stoics would say, the best way to avenge yourself is to not become like your enemy. By practicing forgiveness, we enrich our lives and deepen our connections. Conclusion. As we close this journey into Stoic wisdom, remember that intelligence isn't just about what you know. It's about how you live, speak, and connect with others. From avoiding the trap of boasting to owning your mistakes and staying grounded in action, these principles guide you toward a life of integrity and clarity. Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of our words, not just for their impact on others, but for the reflection they cast on ourselves. Now is the time to put these lessons into practice. Speak with intention, act with purpose, and let your growth inspire others without the need for explanation. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Embrace the power of Stoic wisdom and let your words and actions reflect the very essence of true intelligence. To dive deeper into the world of Stoicism, be sure to subscribe to Stoic Self Mastery for daily insights and practical tips. Like this video if you found it helpful. Share it with someone who could benefit from this wisdom. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and questions. Together, let's navigate life's challenges with grace and equanimity.